Hello and welcome once again on this Monday afternoon. Thanks for joining me. I can see lots of you already have logged on, so I can see all your comments whizzing by, but thank you very much for joining us. Anybody who doesn't know me, my name's Simon Williamson, and I'm here from the Avago Ink Design team. I'll be here every Monday at 1 o'clock and to give you inspiration with Avago products. If you haven't already, hit those subscription links, and then you'll be kept informed of any notifications or any news that we want to share with you. So it's a good way to keep informed, really, isn't it? So how are you all then? Have you had a nice week? The weather were a bit warmer and then it's suddenly dropped a little bit. So how's it where you are? Let's have a look at some of these comments as well. There's loads of you on today, isn't there? I think I've learned that Elizabeth needs a bigger cup for a tea or coffee. She says she always finishes it before it goes live. So bigger mugs all around, I think. Hi, Joe. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Roxy Lee. Hi, Emma. Hi, Kathy. I don't think I've missed anybody, but welcome. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're in the UK or further afield, it's nice to have your company. Any questions that you've got, just put QQQ at the front and I'll answer them as we go. But let's get on with this first demo. So this first demo today, I thought I'd have a play around with circles as the theme. So this first one, I'm going to show you how to make your own circle mask. We're going to make a nice simple card, really bright, and you can use those stamps and make it as complicated as you want or as simple as you want as well. So let's start with this one then. So first of all, I've got a nice piece of stamping card. I've got a little bit of a texture on this one, so it just picks up a bit of the grey. I've created myself a stencil as well, and all I've done is I've used some of the circle dies that I've got in my stash, and I've just cut some out of a piece of card. I've got a stencil that I can use for this now. And I've put together some lovely colours. So I've got my eyes in colours. I've tried to represent a good mix across there. So let's undo these. Got the ocean, the cassis, the orangey, and the green emerald. I always like to use the lids as well as a holder for my actual ink blenders, and then they don't roll everywhere. So we'll set it up like that. And let's get going. So I think it's best to do is start with the bigger circles and then you can work inwards. So let's get some colour on this card. So I'm just going to circle motions from the edge, building it up and bringing it towards the centre. And this way it's going to make it a little bit more three-dimensional as well. Get that little corner off. It's a really effective way. Look, get a really nice spherical kind of shape. And let's move this around. Let's change colour. Let's have a bit of blue down here. I'll just round the edge again. Try and avoid the centre. Leave that as clear as you can. It gives it a bit more dimension, like we said. And you could do this with any kind of shape that you've got in your die stash. There we go. We'll just move this again. I think we'll have a brighter colour down here. So let's, in fact, let's go for purple. Just dabbing the excess off so we don't get too much of a harsh line. Soften that out. You can see, so we've got a start of our card now. You can see with this like pale area in the centre, it gives a real kind of dome effect. So now we're going to go down to a smaller size. Let's break this up a little bit. So let's have an orange one over there. And same again. I'm not bothered it's going over them colours. And if the mix that doesn't matter, but you'll still get a nice effect. It's almost like they're a little bit transparent, isn't it? You see, it takes it like it's coming forward. It's like bubbles almost, isn't it? Like floating around. Let's have a green up here. Oops. Hold it a little bit tighter. It's really therapeutic, this as well, isn't it? So let's get another colour going up here. I think I have a bit more of this yellowy kind of colour. A bit retro, this as well, isn't it? A bit like me. There we go. So we've got some colours going on there. So we're going to go down to a smaller one now. Let's pick some of those out. So overlapping them as well to give a bit more interest. Jackie says, hi Simon, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Don't worry, Jackie. It's lovely for you to join us. So I'm just going to put these a little bit darker down one side, paler down the other. Let's have another one over this side. A bit softer. And I think we'll go in with a few more red ones. Let's have a middle-sized one. And you could do it as full as you want to. I want to leave some white gaps because I think it just adds to the card effect as well. So let's get a bit of red there. And then let's have a think. We'll just have one more up here. You can always go back and add more if you want to. I'll just lift that up for you. So that's really just kind of give you a really nice kind of dreamy background. And it's like they're almost floating, aren't they? It's like bubbles in the actual sky. And I thought this went really well with the elephant collection. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do now to break this up a little bit. So I'm just going to move my ink pads to one side. We're going to use these for both demos today, so I thought I'd leave them out. Okay, so if I bring up a stamping block for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually stamp one of the little elephant characters in each circle. So we've got lots of characters to go out. And we've got like birthday cakes, we've got the little mice, the bigger elephants. Got the little parcel that you get in the set. So got a nice selection of things we can use. Let's start with the bigger elephants. We use the VersaFine black on these. Give that a good covering. And let's put them within the circles as best as we can fit them. So it's going to look nice there. And let's swap over. So let's have our lovely elephant that's sat down. Got nice faces these though, aren't they? They really have. You could add a bit more colour to the characters if you want, but I want to just show you how stamping them in black will just give you a lovely effect as well. So let's pop that on there. And then let's move to some of these smaller items. We've got the lovely present. Change the direction a little bit. We'll have this one in this yellow one. We'll also have it in this green one here facing the opposite direction. And then I think we should have our little cute mice that come in the set as well. We've got husband and wife, so let's have this one just in this blue circle. And we'll have her husband in this purple one up here. You can see we're having fun building this up now, this design. Let's use that birthday cake as well. Have that in that top corner. We've got a few more circles to fill in, so let's go. We've got the ballerina. And I think we'll have the little mouse down here. And the wife up here as well. And we'll just finish off with a parcel up there. You can see by doing that, it just really makes those circles like mini frames, brings all the colours back out. It's a nice way of doing it. So let's get that to one side just for a second. And now we want to do like a sentiment panel. So we're going to use some vellum for that. I'm just going to just wipe my hands. I've got a bit of ink on there. Don't want to get that onto the vellum. Here we go. Bring the stamping platform up. It's got a sheet of plain vellum. I always tend to use white vellum, and then you can colour it yourself if you want to change its colour. And I'm going to use the big thanks sentiment that comes in the set. So let's get that into the bottom half of the sheet. Because it's vellum as well, I'm going to use stays on ink, but it's just a little bit better for this. Remember to take the cover off. The amount of times I've done that, I'm thinking there's no ink there. So let's ink that up, give it a good coverage. Nice firm press down. And there you go, I'm happy with that. Just take that out. If you've got a well-loved stamping platform like this as well, a piece of paper underneath your vellum is a good idea, so it stops any marks getting onto there. So I'm just going to move that under there. And what I'm going to do now is I want to give this a bit of a teared edge. So I'm just going to do it by hand, but just go with the flow so it's a little bit more jaggedy. Make it any shape that you want, but I just want to just take that edge off so it's a little bit quirky. And I'm just going to turn it around and we'll do exactly the same. I'll do it top of the sentiment. You can see it just breaks those lines up a little bit. And then just to bring this kind of jagged edge out a little bit more, I'm going to use the same stays on ink. And I'm just going to brush it very loosely with the ink pad. Just to try and get some more definition on that broken edge. There you go. So you could go thicker if you want to. You could even do this coloured. But just bear in mind that vellum, it doesn't always dry the fastest. So the stays on pad works well for this. So I'm just brushing that edge. So Elizabeth says, oh, I can't complain about magnets, Elizabeth. I've had an amnesty today. I've had to bring some stamping blocks back that belong to Tony, but I'm sure you'll tell her. We all like to share here anyway. It's the love of craft, isn't it? I think we've all borrowed things over the years, if you know what I mean. Let's get rid of that ink pad. So it's just give it a little bit of an edge. If I just hold that onto a piece of white card, you can see it's not a lot, but it just breaks up that kind of torn edge and gives a little bit more detail. So I'm liking that. Now, I could put this straight onto this card, but it kind of gets lost a little bit, that sentiment. It needs a little bit more of a colour underneath it. If we turn this over, and we can bring in one of the colours that we've been using on the card, so a bit of purple. I'm just going to brush the back of the sentiment. Get some of that purple going. And then we'll change to a bit of blue. Just to break up that whiteness, really. And this is what I was saying, if you buy clear vellum, you can make it fit your project by just inking the back of it. And then I think we'll have a little bit of this orange at this side here. Just bringing that to the edge. So Emma says she's forever borrowing things. I can bet, Emma, I can bet. And it's only subtle, but it just breaks up that white. Can you see? It's just got a bit of like a pastel kind of colour towards it. It'll work really well on this card doing that. So let's get this where we want it. So I think we need it, I think in the centre of this one, that'd look nice. So the best way to do this is to put it where you want it, flip your card over, then do a crease. Do the same at the other side. And then you know it's not going to move then when you get your glue into place. So let's use a tape runner. Maybe not that one. Just get another one. Try this one. Oh, you couldn't have believed it, could you? Right, third time lucky, here we go. Here we go, we've got glue. Fold that over. And that'll just trap that in nicely. There should be a little flashing light on tape runners when they're going to run out. Always catch me out. And then I've got a lovely black mat to put this onto. Let's get a nice bit of glue on this. I love a black layer. I think it really does make it pop. push that down. Making sure I've got no ink on my fingers where I'm putting on the card. And then a bit more wet glue on the back of this. And I've gone for a red card for this one, so I think it just brings out our artwork a little bit more. There we go, give that a push down. There we go, that's his first card. So just messing around with them circles. And do you know what I mean? It's so versatile. Do it with squares, triangles, hexagons. Have a little play around. It's a nice way of sampling all your colours as well to see which colours you like in your inks. So hopefully you like that first demonstration anyway. What's the comments say? No, I can imagine, Emmy, you borrowed lots of things, bless. I bet you've got a massive stash. Anyway, we're going to show you some inspiration for the Avogo range now while I set up the next demonstration, which is also circle themed. So come back and join me in a couple of minutes where we'll have another demo. So see you in a second. And welcome back. I'm glad you enjoyed that first demo. I got a bit worried then when I saw Elizabeth say she was licking the card, but then I realised she corrected that, so it did worry me a little bit, I've got to say. So the second card today is with a circle theme again. I'm going to show you a different way of using your circle dies and bringing in your collection. This one's a little bit like planets, isn't it? A little bit mystical, this one. It's just a really quick way of putting together a card. Probably a little bit more adulty, this one, isn't it? So let's get started on this one. So I've got another piece of white card, a little bit of texture on this one as well. So I like the texture card when you're inking. And we're going to use the same colours that we used in the first demo. So we've got those. So I'll just bring them back in a little bit more. So the best thing to do with this is to start with your lightest colour. So I'm going to start with this kind of orange blend. It's a bit like my top, isn't it? I've got to say. So let's get some of this orange onto this card. And what you want to do is kind of weird shapes. Don't make them too perfect. So let's have a bit of orange up here. Bring that down a little bit. And then we'll have some more down this side. We're just going to keep building this up till we've filled our piece of card up. But always start with your lightest, then you're not going to contaminate your inks as much. There we go. So let's start with the red. Let's have a bit of red in the centre here. Look really nice in darker tones, this, maybe blacks and blues. I'm just going to take that off the page. And you could do these as well, you know what I mean? You could have a bit of a play and get these in your stash ready. Okay, let's change to, let's have a bit of purple now. Take that in a little bit. What was that? Yellow edge. Blend it softly so it just takes that edge off. And then we'll have a bit more purple here. Just softening them into them colours that they do touch. Okay, so let's have a bit of blue now, I think. And it really doesn't matter that these are going to clash, so don't worry about it. Have a bit of fun with it. Just softening that in. And we'll have a bit more down here. If anybody has a go at this, you have to share what you make with it, see what effects you get. And then I've got a bit of green. Just blending that in there. A little bit like tie-dye, isn't it? You know them like crazy t-shirts we used to get? It says wearing vibrant shirts. I was taking that round to this bit. Just softening those in a little bit, not as much pressure. I'm just going to take that green down that little white gap there. There we go. Just move the inks back a little bit. So we've created like a panel now that we're going to use to create a circles with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate this with a bit of water just to break it up a little bit, gives it a little bit more thing. Elizabeth says, are they eyes inks? If so, what type? Yeah, these are the dye ones. So these are the dye eyes ink pads. So I've got quite a few different colours going on here. I'll put the lids on now, actually. So we've got the emerald, and then we've got the orange. I've got the cassis, which is the purple. And I've got a blue one, which is the ocean. And I've got a reddy coloured, this is the grenadine. So a few different colours there really going on. So quite a spectrum of colours. They'll do clash a little bit, but I do like to use colours that push the boundary, I should say. So I'm just going to spritz this with a bit of water, just to try and get that ink to lift a little bit and react. So don't leave it on too long, but we're just going to give it a second to grab. I'll just get some kitchen towel ready to blot. And that should be enough, so we'll just give that a push on. There you go. You've got like stars coming out of it now, a little bit more like a skyline, isn't it? I'm going to give that a quick blast with a heat gun just to make sure it's not wet. There we go. Stops it cockling as well if you heat it as well. So got a lovely background there coming together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the circles for our main element. So I'm going to bring in my die plates. And I've got different sizes. Got this big one. Making sure I'm cutting this the right way then. Now let's get them all on there. And that should go on top of there. Just make sure I'm as close to that edge as possible. And then we'll pop this through. Let's see if I've done this the right way. Tracy says, I've been making lots of distress oxide ombre backgrounds using my cars. This would be probably the scraps. It's just a really nice way into it. And look at the effects you get when these cut out. They really are unique. I don't think you could colour them in such a way. So let's see if we can get some more cut out of this panel. So we get that down there. Get as many as we can out of this, then we're not wasting it. just look how good that looks. It's just really, really kind of like galactical, isn't it? You've got like the kind of star effects on there and the purples. It's just a really cool way of doing it. Especially if you've got to do any like space theme cards. Brilliant for that. Just put a few more. Just one more pass. Keep having to remember it cuts the other way. I don't know if make fridge magnets from Tony's thing. Right. Last one. Here we go. Got those last two there, look. Put them to one side. Move the dies out of the way. I'm going to keep that for another project as well, because that would make a lovely card. Put that on a white background, you put little sentiments and characters in each hole. But it's a really nice kind of background to keep that one, so we'll keep that safe. Right, so let's get this card assembled. So, just going to bring that in, and my stencil. I'm going to put the stencil. Just bear with me 1 second. Oh, sorry. Tim to the rescue, thank you. I've got the like wavy stencils with the bubbles going on there. I'm just going to put this onto this piece of card I've got, which is, I think it's 6x6. I've cut it just so it's within the stencil. And I've brought in 2 other eye ink colours. I've got the cerise and the outreamer. I'm going to use the brush on this one, so I don't want a hard kind of colour. I just want a nice soft colour. So I'm going to hold this down. I'm just going to bring this brush in just from this edge and down this corner. Just so it's a little bit softer. Right down to that side. And then I'm just going to swap over, use the pink. I'm just going to brush it the other way. I'm just going to put my hand a little bit different position so I can hold it better. I only want a subtle background on this one, but it just breaks up the white card, doesn't it? Just dragging that pink through. I'm going to put a little bit more down here. If you don't get every area, it really don't matter because it's going to just break up this card a bit for us. Just towards that centre line. And if I lift that off, you'll see it's got a really subtle kind of effect. It's kind of like a pastel kind of colour. You see, just coming from the edges. It just breaks up your card from being white all the time. So, and it's a good way of using your ink pads. Gives a little bit of definition. So we've got that then. So let's move these ink pads out of the way. I'm going to bring up my stamping platform now. I'm going to decide where I want my actual sentiment. On this one, I'm going to use the You Make Me Happy from our Chinese collection, the Japanese ladies. Let's put that in the bottom corner. Let's use some VersaFine Black. Want a nice crisp sentiment on this one. Nice bold sentiment in the corner. It'll really pop them that way. There we go. Perfect. And just move that out of the way. So the best way I found for this is to assemble the card first, and then we can put the circles on afterwards. So I've got a plain white card. I've got some of this kind of textured card. It's actually from like the kids aisle at a craft shop, but gives a little bit of bit more interest, doesn't it, to our card. So let's use a bit of wet glue on this. Let's get that on our card blank. Give that a good push down. And then let's get our base layer for our card glued into place. Let's pop that in there. And that blue ripple just gives it a little bit more detail, doesn't it? Push that down. Make sure that glue is going to grip on top of that kind of like textured card. There we go. Now we've got all our lovely circles that we made. So really nice colours on a lot of these. So let's start off gluing some of these into position. Push that a little bit more. So you want a little bit of definition, some different height levels. So let's get some of the larger ones glued flat. I think that one can go there. Give that a nice push down. And then I think we'll have this little blue one down here. And let's break it up. We're putting a yellow one. Can do that off the edge actually, just to break it up a little bit more. And then let's put a big one up here. I like this going off the actual square. It just gives a little bit more depth to the card. Push them into place. Let's have this one up here. Say some of that glue off, there's a lot on there. And then we'll go there. And then we're going to use some foam pads now just to get a little bit more height. There. Is this lovely red one. Let's put that up there. Just get my scissors. I can chop these down a little bit. This might fit this one actually. Let's pop that one just there, going on and off there. And then I think we've got one more little turquoisey one. And I think we'll have that just on its own down there. And then to finish this off, I brought some sequins, which are in like kind of the blue tones that matches card layer. You could use your gems at home though that you've got. Let's just get a few of those. I'm just going to scatter these around now, so just little bit of glue ever so often on some of the light circles and some off. And let's just pop a sequin onto each of those. Now I've got two shades of sequin, so I'll make sure I get some light and dark. It's a bit easier to go overboard with this. You don't need to put on as many as you think. And how's that one? A nice colourful card that you could use. And that's very easily an adult card as well, isn't it? So you don't have to be using the characters. Just look how the impact that sentiment's made on that card and that kind of background. If I just angle it forward, you can see just breaks up that whiteness, having that kind of background in there. Looks like you should do a space theme set with those circles. Who knows, Roxy? Who knows what's coming next? You have to keep tuned, keep the notifications, and then you'll know what's coming next, won't you? So, hope you enjoyed both of those demonstrations today. So, there you go. That's the two that we made. Two completely different designs, and both using the circles as a theme. One's cutting them out, and one using that kind of stencil area to give a little bit of depth. So, have a go with it yourself. Have a play around. Use the stash that you've got at home, and I'm sure you can come up with a nice card. Especially this one that says big thanks as well. I can imagine that with all different flowers in the circles. I think that'd look lovely to give somebody. So hopefully that's give you some inspiration to use with the Have a Go collection. I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. But apart from that, thank you very much for joining us. I'll see you next week at the same time. So see you later. Bye-bye.